So a few weeks ago, I made a video about my theory that TS2 could be a pop musical. And now we know the track list. And since I'm already down this rabbit hole, I started poring over the title names and I realized that, you know what? I can actually make these 12 tracks into a pretty coherent story, just like if it were a musical. So this is going to be a video series where I do a track-by-track walkthrough of what the story of these 12 tracks could be if it were a musical. And like any musical, there's always going to be sort of a central theme that the musical is going to explore, and there needs to be an A story, right? The title of the musical is The Life of a Showgirl. So of course, the central theme or our A story is essentially going to be Taylor as a showgirl who wants to figure out how to survive as a public figure in the limelight without losing herself. And that is essentially kind of a heroine's journey type of a story. So let's dive in. We're going to start with track 1, The Fate of Ophelia. That's also going to serve as the Act 1 opener of the musical. And typically for an Act 1 opener, it's all about world building, right? It's essentially providing critical context, and in this case, providing some basic rules about the world we're about to enter. And that basic rule is that every showgirl has an expiration day and will all end up the fate of Ophelia. If you've been paying attention to all the announcements on Taylor's website, every single countdown clock always starts with the word expires at that particular time, which I feel like is a hint towards that sort of ephemeral nature of showgirls that Taylor wants to convey. And I think Taylor is trying to connect the analogy between showgirl and Ophelia, which, if you don't know who that is, well, read Hamlet. Some of the similarities between the showgirl and Ophelia, while they're both very beautiful and lovely creatures who are adored and even admired by the public, right? But unfortunately, they're both powerless because they don't control any of their own narratives and they don't actually control their own life choices. And as a result, their fate will either be they submit to that destiny or they self-destruct, like Ophelia. So this is setting the stage about sort of this world that we're entering into. If you like where this is going, please like this video, and I'll see you in the next part of the series.